Welcome to St. Paul's Church National Historic Site, located in Mount Vernon, New York. This video program serves as a self-guided tour of St. Paul's Church. For the visitors, we would expect you to pause the program for a closer look at any juncture. In 1763, the people of Eastchester, New York began building the present stone and brick church building of St. Paul's. It was an upgrade, a replacement for a small wooden meeting house building which stood about 80 yards west of the current church. The design was inspired by churches built in England at the time. Local masons, assisted by craftsmen from New York City, built the church. As a public project of the town, funds were drawn from regular taxation revenues, supplemented with lotteries. A large undertaking for a relatively small town, the church was not complete when the disruption of the American Revolution halted construction. Yet, even in its unfinished form, the church was the largest, most centrally located building in the vicinity, and it became the obvious location for a field hospital during local campaigns. It was used by the American, British, and Hessian armies. At the return of peace in 1783, town residents, now Americans, resumed construction, and by 1787, they completed the building for use as a house of worship and various municipal activities. Sales to families of space beneath the private high-wall pew boxes were an important source of income used to cover final construction costs. It was officially named St. Paul's Episcopal Church in 1795. In 1942, the interior of the church was restored to its original late 18th century appearance, which you see today. It remained a house of worship through 1980, when it was gifted to the federal government. Begin by walking over to the left side of the church, which opens out into an alcove. Locate two models of the church which were built and displayed in 1865 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the erection of St. Paul's. The models show the exterior of the church as it appeared in 1865, including a wooden cupola topped with a weathercock. It was replaced in 1887 with the current brick and stone steeple topped with a cross. Along the wall you should see four large wooden tablets. They represent the Word. Receive divine wisdom accepted by most Protestants, the Lord's Prayer, the Ten Commandments, and the Apostles' Creed, an early statement of Christian belief that dates to the 5th century. Their installment here in 1848, relatively late for an Episcopal church, represented the church's first religious display of any kind. The parish had previously adhered to certain Protestant beliefs that held such representations as unnecessary ornamentation. Overhead you will see a red sanctuary lamp. This pewter lamp was created in the 19th century and originally hung in a synagogue in Landau, Germany, where it represented, in Hebrew, a ner tamid, an eternal light. It was transported to America in the mid-1800s. The lamp was passed down through the generations and presented by a member of the Ox-Sulzberger family, which owned the New York Times, to St. Paul's in August 1944. The gift recognized the site's connection to the origins of the free press in America, based on the landmark election of 1733. Here at St. Paul's, it represented the Blessed Sacrament. At the right of the altar, you should see a finely carved oak chair, which was constructed in England in 1639, transported to America in the 1830s, and donated to St. Paul's in 1910 by Adele Bolton, in memory of her father, who had been the St. Paul's minister from 1837 to 1844. Take a look across the church, up into the gallery, where you see a small pipe organ that was constructed in the early 1830s at the shop of Henry Urban in New York City. Largely original is one of the nation's oldest working organs, recognized as an instrument of exceptional merit by the Organ Historical Society. The relatively small console consists of 58 ivory-covered keys and 8 stops which frame the keyboard, but its sweet and robust sounds seem well suited to a church of this size. Concerts are still performed on the historic instrument. The tall-walled box pews visible in the church today were part of the restoration of 1942. In the 18th century, they were necessary to accommodate use of the building in the winter at a time of no heat, cold winters, no ceiling, or no insulation. Families brought small rectangular foot warmers made of wood and metal filled with hot embers from their fireplaces and placed them on the floors of the pews where the box walls contained the heat. Pews were generally divided based on the amount the family donated to the church, with a higher pledge warranting a pew closer to the pulpit. Plaques with names accurately reflect family pew occupation in 1787 based on the original seating diagram. In the 18th century, the pulpit, front and center of the church, was the focus of the service. The clerk occupied the enclosed box at the floor level. He led the singing of psalms or hymns and used the church tickler as necessary to rouse parishioners who might doze during the sermon. The minister read scripture and led prayers from the middle level and mounted the top deck when preaching the sermon. Walk around to the western side under the gallery of the church. Items normally displayed on the table are authentic replicas of the kinds of surgical tools that would have been present during the Revolutionary War when St. Paul's was used as a field hospital. Note at the center the ball remover and the probe directly next to it, and the amputation saw at the right. The rope you see is connected to the small bronze bell atop the steeple. It was constructed in 1758 at the same London foundry as the famed Liberty Bell of Philadelphia, a connection that the church began to emphasize in the late 19th century. The bell was removed during the Revolutionary War to prevent its confiscation and possible use as military material. On the wall it left a beveled granite plaque honors Sarah Roosevelt, the mother of President Franklin Roosevelt, for her efforts to raise funds for the restoration of the church. It was dedicated in December 1942, a year after her death. More information on these interesting details of the church's history are available on this YouTube channel, our website, and on our Facebook page. Thanks so much for visiting.